Hey and welcome back. As a special treat for New Year, I've decided to make something special for you, a porn film. Porn, Protected Area Wood Norton, or the BBC's secret bunker. As you know, I love a good mystery and I'm always looking for new subjects, and I think I found a good one that involves me. Relaxing in front of YouTube, I saw this film of this guy and his dog walking around BBC Wood Norton, just outside of Evesham. It was the BBC's training headquarters and a secret bunker. So my connection with the place is I worked for the BBC for lots of years, and when the BBC was keen to make everybody integrated, they sent me as a film editor to go and learn videotape editing technology at Wood Norton. And while we were there, the classroom was above the bunker, and our tutor told us about it, but we said we couldn't go down and look. It was extensive. It was definitely a BBC TV studio and radio studio to be used to broadcast during a possible war. And he said, and this is a piece of semi-secret inside information, he said it would be manned by whoever was in the classroom when war broke out. So it's you guys. Oh, heaven forbid. I think I was there for maybe 2 or 3 weeks learning the newfangled videotape editing. It was a good course. All of the people who went on the Wood Norton course had a kind of a very militaristic like stand-up photograph of their course members taken. I've lost mine. So if anybody remembers me on the Wood Norton course and has a copy of the picture with me, Simon, in it, please send it to me. But the pictures look like this. So why does the BBC have an underground bunker in Wood Norton? Well, its history is interesting. Originally, the Wood Norton stately home and a few kind of very, very similar to Bletchley Park bunkers were built after World War II, and it was used as the BBC's monitoring station. Now, the monitoring station was, you start getting a bit of a kind of cross between BBC and government here. The BBC had very good radio equipment and they were used to monitor foreign broadcasts. For some reason, the monitoring station was moved to Reading, where it was there for many years, and I know people who worked there, lovely people. So let me describe the Wood Norton base and facility. It's on a hill, which is really important, outside the town of Evesham, and is Wood Norton House, a large old stately home with peripheral classrooms and a bunker. The hill has an antenna on top, and it's specifically pointing, microwave link I assume, to the large transmitter in the Midlands. Remind me of its name. And that is also a protected site. So in a time of nuclear war, the underground bunker would be used as a BBC broadcasting for TV and radio to keep the British people entertained and informed. And its code name was PAWN. PAWN stands for Protected Area Wood Norton. Any jokes about the BBC being a pawn of the government? Leave it in the comments below. So if pawn, not porn, pawn was ever used, it would transmit to the nation, and it would be manned, as I said, by whoever was there doing the training courses. And obviously our trainers, our educators, were the chief people in charge, and they knew the bunker inside out, but we weren't allowed to go down. It's below this large 1960s building. I heard that it was built in the mid-60s, 66, at a large expense, probably paid for by UK government. I don't know. If you remember, and I certainly do, because I was actually working at the BBC at the turn of the millennium, 1999 to 2000, there was something called the millennium bug, and it was worried, people were worried that computers would suddenly stop working because their internal clock and memory would only go up to 99 and wouldn't roll over nicely to 2000, and possibly important services would quit working. So that was the last time I heard that the bunker was actually all switched on, ready for use. It was protected from the millennium bug, and staff went there over the new year to broadcast a reassuring message to the nation's users of Microsoft. It's funny because my Apple computer worked fine, but when Microsoft computers all crashed, the BBC would send you reassuring messages and play you Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music. So today, what is it being used for? Well, supposedly, I am not quite sure about this, but supposedly during the refurbishment of BBC Broadcasting House, where BBC Radio comes from, specifically, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but we'll talk about Radio 4 in a minute as a secured service. But the radio presentation department temporarily did use, supposedly, the Evesham bunker while Broadcasting House was being refurbished. So let's quickly talk about Radio 4 and the Today programme and its connection to the Cold War. I think this is fascinating. As a nuclear standby or backstop in case of nuclear war in Britain, nuclear submarines, the submarines with Polaris on it, if they lost contact with the UK Navy and the Ministry of Defence, would surface an antenna and listen if BBC Today programme. Now, the Today programme is a current affairs news programme transmitted by the BBC Radio in the morning, early morning. And if you ever worked on the Today programme, you knew it had to go out. Over the years, BBC's had a few strikes, but the Today programme has always been managed by management if the workers were on strike, because the submarines used it as a check if the BBC was still broadcasting, Britain was okay. And that's definitely a true story. So here's some drone footage over Pawn, which is the protected area Wood Norton. The guy who shot this got into some trouble, but he also claims that being over 150 feet above the ground, he's free to do what he wants. I'm not sure whether sharing this is particularly a good idea, but he does correctly identify the 1960s blockhouse building, which is above the bunker, and there is tight security to this day. He got marched off the site with his dog, and then he flew his drone over the place, so whatever. But it's certainly not open to the public. The BBC don't talk about it. It's not very public at all, and I think it's still pretty secret, and I'm sure it's still operational. Well, it obviously is if BBC Radio continuity announcers went there during some building work at Broadcasting House. So sounds like it's still being used. The Wood Norton training establishment, I think, is less used, if not gone. I mean, the BBC is in complete disarray with its staff. Don't talk to me about that. But I really enjoyed my time there. It really felt like I was in an episode of Doctor Who, if you know what I mean. Who, by the way, used the Wood Norton site for a couple of episodes because it is kind of has that Cold War spy Bletchley Park feel about it. So enjoy this drone footage and thank the guy for shooting it. And if you've got questions about Wood Norton and protected area Wood Norton or Pawn, write in the comments below, because the truth is out there.